Arteta is ready to splash 90 million quid on Aston Villa's star striker. Bernardo Silva is a Barcelona player. Xavi set to take charge at a top Serie A club. And the first big transfer move of the Enzo Maresca era at Man City. All this and much more in today's episode. Before we get into the news, do me a quick favor and hit that like button. It's the single most important thing you can do to help this channel grow and keep these videos coming. Done? Let's dive straight in. Arsenal have only just got their hands on the title, but Arteta apparently cannot sleep at night without blowing another 100 million on the next missing piece. This time, the target is Morgan Rogers from Villa, a man who, in the space of 18 months, went from a decent championship lad to the kind of athlete who sends Premier League defenders flying like skittles. The paperwork in London is already rustling. According to Football Transfers, the groundwork laid so far resembles less a football transfer and more a NASA shuttle launch. Rogers put together an absolutely mental season, 26 goal contributions, and now Villa want an eye-watering 100 million quid for him. Why so bold? Simple maths. Really. Despite the Champions League, Birmingham desperately need to plug holes in the budget, and Morgan is the perfect sacrifice on the altar of financial sanity. And Arteta? He needs exactly this kind of chaos. Arsenal's attack can look too sterile at times, too neat, too tidy, like a freshly ironed shirt. Rogers brings a raw aggression to that system, the ability to smash through a wall when everyone else is looking for one more pass. This isn't a depth signing, it's a DNA transplant. Though the 90 million price tag is enough to make even the most hardened Arsenal fan choke on their tea, will Rogers justify the elite project billing? Or are we simply watching, once again, as the English passport tax turns a good player into a golden one? We'll find out soon enough. Champions go shopping, it's expensive, and it rarely makes sense. Bernardo Silva and Barcelona. At this point, it's not a transfer saga. It's a Netflix series renewed for a 10th season purely out of habit. You'd think everyone would have moved on by now. But no, this time, the mood at Camp Nou is one of unsettling confidence. The main argument? The Portuguese is finally leaving City as a free agent. For nothing, a word that sounds sweeter to Laporta than the Champions League anthem itself. Quick word for anyone watching without hitting like, I respect your loyalty and your vow of silence, but today feels like the right day to break it. Smashing the like button is like having Bernardo in your squad. Things work fine without it, but it's just nicer. Go on. Right, so El Chiringuito are screaming that the move is a matter of when, not if. Bernardo himself, according to those in the know, is batting away every other offer just to wait for that one call from Catalonia. Though Jorge Mendes, a man physically incapable of sitting on his hands, has apparently dangled his client in front of Real Madrid as well, just to keep the market on its toes. But Silva is stubborn. He wants Camp Nou, and only Camp Nou. And seemingly not even Barcelona's eternal hunt for financial levers puts him off. So why aren't the board popping champagne? Priorities, which at this club occasionally border on mild lunacy. The obsession right now is a full attacking overhaul. Anthony Gordon is already in the door, but they desperately need another striker. And until that box is ticked, Bernardo can politely join the queue. The midfield can wait. Logical? For any other club, absolutely not. For current Barcelona, completely on brand. The situation goes like this. You have the chance to sign one of the finest playmakers on the planet for free, but first, you go hunting for another centre forward because some secret strategy document told you to. There's time before the World Cup kicks off, but timing has never exactly been the Blaugrana's strong suit. The real danger is that while Barcelona are busy sorting their priorities, Silva gets cold feet and picks somewhere more reliable, like Madrid. What we're left with is a classic Catalan stalemate. The player wants it, the club wants it, and yet the club is doing a convincing impression of having everything under control. The perfect setup for a spectacular last day of the window collapse. Watching. Zlatan Ibrahimovic has decided Milan are in urgent need of some Catalan flair. After Allegri successfully guided the squad to a Europa League participation trophy, the Rossoneri hierarchy woke up and suddenly craved an attacking philosophy. Brilliant logic, finish 5th, then abruptly rediscover your DNA and the beautiful game. And the man leading this crusade? Ibra himself. According to Corriere dello Sport, he's been pushing Xavi name, the very Xavi, who's been out of work since his rather loud departure from Barcelona back in 24. The plan reeks of desperation. Find their own Cesc Fabregas, replicate what he did at Como, and transplant that model onto a crisis-ridden giant. Ibrahimovic wants an ally with a famous name, someone who can rattle the dressing room while the board frantically counts the losses. This isn't really a tactical decision. It's selling hope to the fans instead of actual transfers. Pure marketing on the ruins of a season. But here's the question. Is Xavi actually ready for the brutal realities of Italian football? At Barca, he had leverage. Here, he'd be building with whatever's left after the wreckage, trying to fit a tiki-taka philosophy onto a squad that was grinding against relegation fodder just weeks ago. That's not a challenge, that's a riddle with no answer. What we're likely to get isn't a legend reborn. It's another expensive disaster, with Zlatan hovering approvingly in the background, glamorous, theatrical, and utterly pointless. Though, to be fair, nothing new there. Ruben Dias is looking for the door. And this is the first genuinely alarming signal for Manchester City. Ironclad contract until 29, captain's armband, enough trophies to fill a skip, and yet, the foundations are shifting. The moment Guardiola announced he was leaving, it wasn't the spirit of future glory that filled the City dressing room. It was pure, total uncertainty. Players aren't stupid. They see it. According to Court Offside, the Portuguese has already asked his agent to start making inquiries at the top clubs. The €60 million valuation floating around feels like a joke. City will demand double, at the very minimum. But this isn't really about money. The problem is that what was once a perfect machine is now a building site. Enzo Maresca is coming in to replace Pep, and, by all accounts, Dias has no interest in being anyone's guinea pig. Real Madrid are already on high alert. The logic there is straightforward. Alaba and Rudiger on their way out, and Perez needs a new defensive cornerstone. Fast. For Madrid, the timing is immaculate. Dias is at his absolute peak. He's won everything, and he wants out of Manchester. PSG and Bayern are lurking in the wings as well, waiting their turn. City will dig in and resist. Losing the greatest manager of the modern era and your defensive pillar simultaneously, that's not just a crisis, it's the beginning of the end. But how do you keep a player who's already mentally trying on a white shirt? In modern football, what a player wants almost always outweighs whatever's written on a contract. Can the board convince Ruben to stay? Deeply, deeply unlikely. Building a dynasty with a genius is one thing. Watching an empire crumble is quite another. This is what the end of an era looks like. Manchester City and £100 million for a Nottingham Forest player. Sounds like the opening line of a ransom note from the finance department, but Enzo Maresca appears to be absolutely serious. The man in question, Elliot Anderson, while everyone was waiting for some splashy headline signing, City have quietly gone after the lad who simply knows how to set the tempo. Ironic, isn't it? According to the Daily Mail, Anderson is the #1 target. Forest owner Marinakis naturally wasted no time in slapping $100 to million price tag on him. Well, what did you expect? Any less, and he'd be offering you a signed photo of the backup keeper. Speaking of sensible investments, if the algorithm keeps serving up my videos, your football brain has clearly already worked it out. Might as well make it official. And subscribe. Instead of hunting down new episodes like City, desperately hunting for a Rodri replacement, hit the bell. It's the only logical decision in this whole mad sport that won't cost you $100 million. His market value and that price tag aren't exactly on speaking terms. But City aren't paying for what Anderson is now. They're paying for what he becomes inside their system under Maresca. Though why you'd go down this road when the Rodri situation is still dangling over everything is anyone's guess. The Spaniard has 12 months left on his deal, and the club are visibly twitchy. The plan, reading between the lines, is for Anderson to serve as a kind of apprentice, learning in orbit around the main man, while Nico Gonzalez blows 50 million quid to become a very expensive bench fixture. At City, if you're not in the starting 11 by January, you're already on the way out. The risk here is enormous. Whether Anderson can justify being the most expensive grafter in the league is a very open question. Shining at the City ground is one thing, not suffocating under the weight of expectation at the Etihad. When everyone wants you to be the new Bernardo Silva for a suitcase full of cash, is something else entirely. The logic works on paper. In reality, this could turn into a very costly disaster. Then again, if they're willing to spend that kind of money on a player's football instincts, either Maresca has a very specific plan up his sleeve, or they've simply got a spare 100 million lying about. There is no third option.